Today I'm going to be learning about Finland, and this is the geography now for Finland. I'll be honest, I don't know too much about Finland, but that's the whole reason in starting this channel, is just to learn as much as I can. So recommend some videos that can teach me about Finland, whether it's geography, history, culture, comedy, anything. Tell me in the comments, but let's watch this and see what we can learn from this one.
Ah, Finland. Let's talk about this place that I totally have no preconceived biases towards.
It's time to learn geography now!
I mean, the only thing I do know about Finland, like a little bit more in depth, is Finnish TV shows. I watch so many good Finnish detective shows on Netflix and things like that. I really enjoy them. They're always so well produced, well directed, great storylines and stuff, great acting. Tell me what your favourite Finnish TV show is.
Hey everybody, I'm your host Barbie. Welcome to the dark sheep of Northern Europe. All the other Nordic countries are like la 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 la, while Finland is like We'll get into the heavy metal thing in a bit, but first,
yeah, tell me how Finland compares to the other countries in that region, like Sweden, Denmark, Norway. I know from watching these TV shows that Finland has like a slightly different language, different culture, especially on the east and with its proximity to Russia and things like that. So tell me more about how it compares to those other countries.
Now just remember, Finland is Nordic, but don't call it Scandinavian. There's a huge difference. That title only belongs to Sweden, Denmark, and Norway. First of all, Finland is located in Northern Europe, lying on the Gulf of Finland and the Gulf of Bothnia, east of all that Scandinavian stuff. To the west, they border Sweden on the Torne River, or the Tornionjoki, until it reaches the tri-point border with Norway at the three-country Cairnstone. And to the east, they border big ol' Russia with another tri-point border with Norway that looks like this. The country is divided into 19 regions, or maakunta, with the autonomous region that we'll talk about a little bit later, and the capital of Helsinki, located in the south on the Gulf of Finland, which is also the second most northern capital in the world after Reykjavik, Iceland. The country also owns about 180,000 islands, the highest concentration of which found in the Baltic off the coast in the Åland archipelago.
180,000 islands? That's actually unbelievable. I never knew. That's a fact that I never knew anything of. Tell me what your favourite Finnish island is and why. And yeah, tell me, bordering Russia, especially with the war that's going on and things like that, how does that actually affect daily life? What's your opinion of Russia as a country? What's your opinion of Russian people? How does that proximity to Russia affect Finnish culture?
Keep in mind, parts of Finland also lie within the Arctic Circle. That's how far up north they are. And the three busiest airports are Helsinki, Oulu, and Rovaniemi. Now, my favorite part, territorial anomalies! First of all, with Russia, there are too many split islands and penne enclaves. The islands of Aikaniemi and Sursari, Tarasin-Sari Islands and lakes, the island in the Koitajoki River. Seriously, just play around with Google Earth and see how many you can find. Finally, we get to Sweden and things get interesting. Most of the borders with Sweden run along rivers that eventually flow into the Torne River, and then we get a strange golf course that is split between the two countries in the town of Tornio and Sweden. Not only that, but then you have the strange Market Island right next to Åland in the Gulf of Bothnia, which has an inverted S-shaped border.
What is that island? Tell me more about that. Even, never mind the border, it actually just looks like a very interesting landscape on that island.
To do with the lighthouse that was built belonging to Finland, but then Sweden was like, hey, it's too close to our side of the island. So they drew a border that was like this to give each side equal shares of the land. See this archipelago cluster of islands right here? Yeah, it belongs to Finland, even though most of the people here speak Swedish. Åland is Finland's strange little administrative anomaly. Long story short, it used to belong to Sweden, but then the Russians took over it in addition to Finland. Then after the Russian Revolution, Finland became free, and then the UN decided Åland should belong to Finland with autonomy. But then the Soviets started attacking again, and then Finland was like, nope, and then fought back relentlessly, defending themselves and Åland, and Sweden just kind of sat there and didn't really do much for Åland as they decided to stay neutral. Finland defending Åland was kind of like the turning point. Now it's kind of like, Åland, come back to me! Look, Sweden, we had some great times, but you kind of really didn't do much for me when things got crazy. I mean, Finland defended me, okay? And he treats me well, okay? His tax incentives are great. It's time to move on. It's not me. It's you. Åland. Also, Finland kind of threatened that if Åland was ceded back to Sweden, they would demand the Tornio Valley. Now, before the whole Soviet thing, Finland operated the regions of Karelia, Sala, Kusamo, Petsamo, and some extra islands in the Gulf. After the wars with the Soviets, these regions were all ceded back to Russia, effectively cutting off their access to the Arctic Ocean. Very quickly, some notable sites and landmarks would have to be the old castles like Savonlinna, Hämeenlinna, Olavinlinna, and the most renowned Suomenlinna. You can probably guess what Linna means by now.
Yeah, tell me about the castles in Finland as well. Obviously, I'm from Scotland, so castles are an important part of our culture. I don't really know anything about Finnish castles. Is it something people go to visit, like for days out, for holidays and things like that? What's the most beautiful Finnish castle?
Rovaniemi is otherwise known as the home of Santa Claus, where you can go reindeer sledding. Inari and Ivalo is where you can get a real Sami traditional cultural experience. Of course, Helsinki is the epicenter of Finnish architecture and culture, with landmarks such as the Tempeli Aukia Church excavated into a rock, Mannerheim Street, the busiest road with all the shops and austere post-Soviet influenced blocky colonnaded buildings, or the iconic Helsinki Cathedral. Now those are all...
And tell me how Helsinki differs from the rest of Finland, the other Finnish cities and towns. Is there any stereotypes about people from Helsinki in comparison to people from other places?
Great, but Finland isn't really much of a tight metropolitan type of country. They love their space and have quite a bunch of it. See what lies outside these cities, shall we? Now, if you want me to make this simple, some would argue that Finland is the best winter wonderland in the world. I mean, Canada's cool, but they have too many bears, and Iceland is too explodey, and Russia is too... cold. Seriously though, the land is generally flat except in the north by the border with Norway, in which the highest mountain can be found, Mount Halti, although the peak is in Norway. However, in 2017, Norway plans to give Finland the peak for their 100th anniversary of independence from the Soviets. Finland is just wonderfully crisp and refreshing, usually ranking in the top 3 countries in the world with the cleanest air quality. This is partially because Finland is almost 80% covered in forest, one of the highest concentrations per square kilometer in the world, only behind countries like Gabon and Suriname. This makes Finland the largest producer of wood in the EU and one of the top in the world. Not only that, but Finland has about 188,000 lakes, most heavily concentrated in lakeland, and in addition to lakes, about 10% of the country is comprised of all water bodies like rivers, ponds, and streams. When mixed with the land, this makes about 1/3 of the country home to swamps and bogs, making it the highest wetland proportion country in Europe and disputably the world. Maybe, but our floods are crazier. Fittingly, the name for swamp in Finnish is suo, and the word for Finland is suomi. I mean, technically they also have like 9 other words for swamp, like rame, neva, leto, luhta, laiteko, apa, paisa, janka, and korpi. And they love these swamps. One Finnish pastime is jumping in the mud, sometimes naked, and either playing soccer or wrestling.
Have you did that before? Actually, when I seen those images of playing sport in the mud, that definitely reminds me of Scotland. When I was young, that's how we played football. In the mud and rain.
The landscape of Finland is shaped that way because imagine what happens when you crush something under a heavy glacier for a really long time, and then after the glacier melts, you're left with pockety erosion and mineral residue all over. Not only that, but Finland is experiencing a post-glacial rebound in which the land is steadily rising along the coast of the Gulf of Bothnia. Every year, Finland gains about 7 square kilometers and is technically rising out of the sea. The longest...
Wow, that's interesting. You hear so many countries are losing their land and it's going underwater. I had no idea that Finland was actually rising, man. That's very interesting. Tell me if you knew that already.
This river is the Kemijoki that passes through Lapland and reaches the Gulf of Bothnia. And the largest lake, as well as the 4th largest in Europe, Lake Saima, is located in the southeast. Because Finland is so far north, they are known for being the land of the midnight sun, as during summer you can literally see the sun for 24 hours a day in the northern parts by the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, tell me if you've experienced that. What is it like to actually experience? I feel like that would be very difficult for me. I'm somebody who like needs it to be pitch black, very dark to sleep. What's it like to just have non-stop sunlight? Is it hard to adjust? I mean, like if you're not from that part of Finland, is it hard to adjust to that? Yeah, how does it affect you?
And of course, in the winter times, there's hardly any sunlight at all, but if you're lucky, you can witness an aurora borealis, especially in the northern parts. Oh, and by the way, the national animals are the whooper swan and the brown bear. Finnish agriculture is, of course, very standard for northern European countries. Lots of rye wheat, turnips, potatoes, and of course, fishing is huge out here. However, due to the abundance of lakes and rivers, Finns prefer their own domestic freshwater fish like perch, zander, and miuku as opposed to the sea fish.
Yeah, tell me what the best Finnish food is. Is it the seafood? Is there anything that maybe people outside Finland don't really know about. Tell me your favourite Finnish
Speaking of
food.
which, coming to Finland, chances are you will eventually try reindeer meat in some shape or form, whether in stew or grilled.
That was
In
nice.
Lapland, you might even find bear on the menu. You can try mami, a pudding made of rye, and of course, every Finn will make every visitor try this strong, salty salmiakki. They love salmiakki so much that they made it into an ice cream, and it's so good, and I'm so mad they don't sell it in my hometown. Oh, yeah, in the winter
Tell me how good that
time they
is.
built ice hotels, and there's like this cool waterfall in the Paratisi Kuru area in the Uru Kekkonen National Park. Okay, let's talk about Finnish people.
Yeah, I think like landscape-wise, it actually really reminds me of Scotland. Like, it looks like a really beautiful country with a lot of great nature.
Okay, if you go to Finland, you will most likely experience a rather intense yet intriguing social construct. First of all, the country has about 5.5 million people and is the most sparsely populated country in the EU.
Yeah, that's another interesting comparison with Scotland. We have pretty much the same population actually, but I guess obviously not as sparsely populated as well. So you have a lot more space. Do you enjoy that? Is it nice to like have a more spacious country?
The country is about 90% ethnically Finnish, about 6% are Swedish, and the rest is made up of everything else under the sun, like Russians, Estonians, Asians, and Africans. They use the euro as currency, they use the type CEF outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Of course, the Finnish people speak the Finnish language, which is arguably one of the hardest languages on earth to learn. Conjugation is a mess. Nouns and adjectives have inflectionary forms, whatever that means. Nonetheless, Finland has one of the best schooling systems in the world. In Finland, school hours are shorter, less homework is given, and there are virtually no mandated standardized tests apart from the exam you take in your final senior year of high school. Also, if you get your PhD, you have the option to get a sword and a top hat along with your diploma. This is also why Finland is one of the most English-friendly countries in Europe. Children are taught around ages 9 to 11, and most people of the younger generation can at least hold an impressively fluid conversation. Finland is actually a conscription.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know too much about the education system in Finland. That's definitely an area I would like to learn more based on that small introduction to it. It seems like it was a highly educated country with a very interesting structure with that lack of testing as well, but it obviously has a lot of benefits. So yeah, tell me more about the education system in Finland.
Country in which all men ages 18 and up are required to serve either in the military or civilian services anywhere from 165 days to a year, depending on the type of service applied
never
for.
knew that.
Åland Islands are exempt from the military conscription, but are required to serve in some kind of institution like the Coast Guard or civil services. Finnish culture is actually pretty funny. The stereotype is that Finns are incredibly quiet and don't talk that much in most public transactions. Just mind your business and no small talk. The cartoon Finnish Nightmares illustrates this concept pretty well. Check it out. Which is funny because Finland is huge on the boisterous, loud, and flashy heavy metal culture, having the highest concentration of heavy metal bands out of any other country in the world, with nearly 650 per 1 million residents.
Whoa. So why is that? I have heard of Finnish rock bands before. I think I've seen like on Eurovision before, like not that I really watch it, but just come across those videos online, and yeah, there's like some really intense rock music, heavy metal music from Finland. Why is that? Where did that come from? Where is that culture originated from? How long has it been part of Finnish culture? Tell me who your favourite Finnish heavy metal or rock band is.
Finns also invented the wife carrying competition, in which a man must carry either his wife or girlfriend or any girl that agrees to get tossed around in an obstacle course, and the winner gets the women's weight in beer. It's very strategic because if you want to win,
That's a
you might
good
want to
idea.
carry a lighter wife, but if you want more beer, you better do your squats, bro. Now, if you must know one thing about Finnish culture, you have to know about sauna. The Finns invented the sauna. Most homes, hotels, and apartments have a sauna built into them. They actually had a sauna competition at one point, but then a Russian guy died and they had to kind of cancel it. Overall, though,
So if it's very common to have a sauna in your house, do you have one in your house? I enjoy a sauna, but I've never been in a house that had one actually.
Finns are kind of brought up in a mindset known as sisu. It's kind of hard to explain the exact definition of it, but it kind of means something like guts or determination and never giving up, which really helped them along the fight with the Soviets. Sisu is to Finland what Jantaloen is to Denmark. There are so many other things I wish we could talk about, but we're running out of time. But we do have time for friend time! Historically, Finland was kind of always a little lonely. I mean, few if any trading routes ever went through this area. Even the Mongols were like, we're good, nah, yeah, carry on. Nonetheless, over time, Finland did develop relations and to this day is one of the most diplomatically outreached countries in the world. I mean, the Finnish passport is the #1 ranked and most sought after as it has the highest number of visa-free countries applied to it. First of all, Finland generally gets along with other Nordic countries. However, they have the biggest frenemy relationship with Sweden. They'll trade and share a beer or two, but when hockey season comes, the bloodbath begins.
Yeah, tell me what you think about Sweden. Tell me what you think about Swedish people then.
When it comes to Russia, Finland kind of has to be their friend because Russia has the longest border with them and business is important. Nonetheless, Russia is kind of seen as like the next door neighbor that you once got into an argument with, but then you kind of fixed things up, but then you kind of really didn't get over it, and then you have to see them every other day in the morning as you go to work. Germans are always welcome in Finland, and Hungarians are like the long-lost distant cousins that they just discovered and are trying to build a relationship with. Their best friends, though, might be Estonia and Norway. Everybody loves Norway. It's like the Cameroon of Europe. Norway has never had any controversy with Finland, and with the recent mountain gift proposal, relations are only strengthened. Estonia is like the nagging little sister that tries to imitate her bigger brother. I mean, they both even have the same national anthems, but in the end, they are family.
Really? I never knew they both had the same national anthem. That's interesting. I did know that the Estonian language is very similar to Finnish, I believe.
And Finland always loves her. In conclusion, Finland really is a winter wonderland with quiet people that transform into metal monsters after a pint of long drink, topping their days off, baking themselves in human ovens for fun. And with that, we finish the Finnish episode. You waited for that for over 10 minutes. Stay tuned.
Okay, yeah, very interesting. I learned a lot there about Finland that I never knew, so love that as an introduction, and again, it really makes me want to know more about Finland. So tell me, recommend some other videos about Finland that I should check out. I'll definitely check them out soon. And yeah, tell me what you think about this video also. Thank you.